bad guys, so
We're back.
that's lovely.
I didn't do it. He might think I kiss me.
Okay, so good.
Even though it died the second I touched it.
You know what's so crazy? Yesterday I found 2 of your hairs in my bed.
Hey, I'm just with you all the time, okay?
You haven't been to my house?
Sharing my love. I legit told you on the phone the other day. Guess what I found? What did you find? A piece of your hair on my pillow.
I got you.
What are you pointing at?
That's Eliana, if I'm not.
Is it?
Yes, Eliana.
Oh, you call it?
I don't think it is. She doesn't have a convertible yet.
That used to be a Duke's car back in the 60s.
Really?
I
And that
want
was a guy's car.
I want that car. I'm gonna put fake eyelashes on it, and then get a bedazzled skirt.
That's cute. Kelly Morgan has. We wrote it for her little birthday. It was cute. We went to the
Oh.
where? What?
Don't forget when we were on.
But I had to think about who that was for a second.
Who?
I know what you said.
Yes.
I promise I can hear.
Where were we?
Do you want to tell your testimony?
I've got to restart tonight. So, I got saved when I was 8. I was in the 3rd grade, I think. And at first I was kind of like, everybody else is doing this, I should too. Because we used to sit around the lunch table and talk about it. And I was kind of like the odd one out. But at the same time, I'm going in my head, and I'm like, I think everybody else is the same way. You know, I feel like everybody else is doing it just because everybody else is doing it, and so on and so forth. And as I got older, I feel like I've gotten, like I've understood more about it, because when you're younger, you don't understand. You just kind of ask your questions. But at the same time, I feel like, as far as me being there and me being off my own little island, I feel like I'm teetering on that line a lot. Because, and it's not just like the world thing, it's also like a me thing. A lot of people, including me, get bogged down by other stuff that's happening. And I worry a lot about what other people think. I worry a lot about what's going to happen tomorrow, you know, in the future. And like I said, it's from a movie, but it said a lot of people worry about tomorrow and the next day. But you can't do that. Only today. I feel like as I've gotten older, I misunderstood it. Now, obviously, I'm nowhere near where I should be. I don't think anybody is. And I don't think anybody is until you die. Now, don't get me wrong. There are pastors and evangelists who are, I mean, they give you the shirt off their back before you even call them to ask you. But I don't think anybody's there at the top level until, you know, going up.
That's good. I guess I want to repeat my question again. Have you noticed like who you are
Like a difference.
from then and now?
I would say yes, but at the same time, I would say that as far as from where I started, because I started out so young, you know, when you're a kid, you're immature, but at the same time, you're not as bad as you would be in middle school and high school. And so at that age, I was just kind of sunshine, rainbows, happy everything. And now that you've kind of grown up and seen everything, you're like, life is hard, so just lay down for yourself. This kind of sucks. And sorry, this is a very nice car that I see. But I would say that there's a difference as far as me knowing stuff and me learning it and me being closer to it. But at the same time, I feel like as far as where I should be, like I was saying, I'm nowhere near close where I should be. And as far as like a mental sense, I would say that I've understood it a lot more. But as far as where my mind should be and where my heart should be, iffy, I would say.
Need more time to mature.
Yeah, and I mean because, like I was saying, you know, nobody ever really gets there. But at the same time, to get there, you got to do your best, and that's all that you can do. And I feel like as far as me, and maybe not just me, I feel like it's a lot of people. It's kind of like a on and off, kind of like a, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, whatever. And our pastor has always told us, he, you know, pastor was stomping his foot, hollering, now is the time. Now is the time to do it. Because you may not have to work. You may not even have the next 60 seconds of your life. So I feel like, yeah, I need to grow a lot more than where I'm at right now. And as far as who I am, when a lot of people, you know, kind of talk about their faith, you know, Jaden Jordan.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have claimed him to be this Christian dude, and I've known him for a long time. But at the same time, he's turning around, you know, not doing not such great things, not doing out great people. And I feel like when people kind of share their faith, you're either one of three things. One, you're there with it. Two, you're there, but at the same time you got struggles and you're saying, oh look at me, and you're not really following through. You're kind of stopping at the brick wall when it gets hard, and you're like, well, this is where I'm at. And then number three, you say you're there, and you turn right back around. You act like an Indian. So, but I would say yes, I need to mature where I'm at. I would say that there's a difference between when I get there.
Right. Yeah.
Also, like, add to that, I would say, or not I would say, like, at our BBS thing, our student pastor, he said, have faith like a child.
Yeah.
So, like, not be, like, immature, but just be, like, excited to learn and, like, to just be loved by God and know without a doubt.
Oh, that's a good way to think about that, because, you know, as a kid, like I was saying, when you're a kid, you think everything's rainbow and sunshine, everything's happy. And so if you have, you know, I'm going to be this way till I'm old. I love Disney, and so I'm going to be a Disney adult. And as far as like things go with that, I never really look at it like, oh, the ride's going to break down, all this kind of stuff. Things are going to go wrong. I look at it from the standpoint, I'm here. I'm riding rides. I'm having fun. And I don't even thought about it that way. That's a good way to look at that. Because as a kid, you're looking at it from a good standpoint, but then from point of view from us and point of view from the adult, you're kind of like, well, I've got bills to pay. I've got to worry about this and that. And you just don't have time to have that good side in you, because when you get older, it just cuts that side out. It's a good way to think about that.
That's really good, Daddy. Look at you go.
I didn't mean to interrupt with that. So,
No, you're fine.
it's a good way. I'm still
What are some things that y'all have learned using your relationship with God so far?
I would say, for me, there's three things. One, to take your time, because when you kind of rush into it, and our pastor was telling us, he was like, when you sit down to read your Bible, or you sit down to take notes or something, you don't just go, all right, and you're like, all right, God, give me something. You flip to a random page, and you're like, okay, and you sit there on that, but it's not going to mean anything because you rushed into it, and you're like, all right, if I just get this done, I can do whatever else I want to do.
Yeah.
And you know, you kind of got it on my crutch of like, God gives me mercy, so now I can go shoot somebody and they'll still love me, like that. I feel like a lot of people use it as a crutch and kind of rush into things when it comes to, you know, church and stuff like that. When you're, like as you get older, you're not with your parents, because when you're younger, and I mean, yeah, when you get older, you're like, I need to go to church. My friends are there. I learn about God. I have a relationship with God. when you get older and you're not with your parents and they're not taking you to church, you've got that choice to either go to church or you've got the choice to sit on your lazy bum and never do anything in your life. And I feel like number one, you gotta take your time. Number two, you gotta be because and he's everywhere, omnipresent. But I mean you can't just sit there be a jump rope or something like that and be like just I feel like you gotta be in it. You can't be doing something else that's not even close to the same sentence of what that is, and then jump into it, maybe to put on your religious mask or something like that. And then three, I would say, there goes the car. There's another one. It's a car show. I would say three, when you get the phone stopped, or using mine now. We stopped at three. I would say, and number three, when you get there, you've got to go out and share it, because if you keep it to yourself, there's going to be a bunch of people that don't know it. And I think when we had the weekend thing that we do at our church, I think it was not last year, or not this year, but last year, they said that, I think it was in the world maybe, there was like 800,000, something like that were unreached. And that's either because they're in a place where if you say even the word God, they're like killing you, or they just don't know. And for me, I've struggled to go out there because, I mean, I've sat down and talked to people, but it's just kind of awkward. Because going into Walmart and walking up to some random toothless man with a backwards hat, sir, do you know about God? Well, I don't know about God. They're either lying to you to get you to shut up and go away, or they really do, and it's just awkward. But I feel like you've got to go out and share it once you, and even if you don't know all the answers, because as you get older, even if, like I said, if you don't even know the answers and stuff, there's going to be people that, whether they're Catholic, atheist, all that kind of, all those different religions, you're going to be asked questions, and as Christians, I feel like it's the same thing for other religions. You're there to defend your faith. You're there to believe in what you believe in and stand for it. And I think that that's great for the people that are of their religion, even if it's not Christian, that they stand there and believe in what they believe in, and that's great. But you're not believing in the right thing. But when people ask you a question, like one day we were sitting in our church for our second service with our youth group, and we have a kid at our church that's in our grade that is atheist. He doesn't believe in God, but he goes to our church because his grandmother takes him there and says it'll be good for him. And one day, and he's cool, he's a great kid, very, very smart. And they sat him down in the middle of the room. One side they had girls, middle school kids, and us, and the older guys. And Caleb, our youth pastor, was standing here on one side, and he was sitting in a chair. And he would ask him questions, and he would answer either I don't know, or he would kind of sit there and answer, and he would ask us questions. Like he would be like, I don't really remember what he asked, but he would ask like some brain rattling questions. And some people, I feel like some people kind of being rude to him a little bit, because if you look at the news stuff, you've got like Donald Trump standing there and they're talking about for instance what just happened in Iran or whatever, and somebody would be like, and he's in the middle of talking, they're like, sir, I have a question, and they just shoot off a question. It's kind of this sarcastic remark. But I feel like as far as when you share it, saying you don't know is okay. Because if you say you don't know, number one, that gives you the time to kind of know in your head, all right, when this is over, I need to go home and figure this out. So the next time that somebody asks us, I'll be ready. But moral of the story, when even if you're not all the way there, and even if you are there, you need to get out and share. And I think that's one of the most important things you can do.
Like, you don't even have to say a whole lot. You can just be like, Jesus loves you.
Yeah. Because, I mean, and I think y'all might have him next year, Mr. Bill. He is the greatest teacher I've ever met in my entire life. Out of my entire 16 years of living, greatest teacher ever. And he told us, and we weren't even talking about the Bible, but I could tell that the kids that knew what he was talking about, he was pushing that at them and saying, it's all about how you carry yourself. You don't even have to say a single word. Just be who you are in that and carry yourself the way that you're supposed to. And they'll be able to tell. Because, for instance, and I'm not trying to say, oh, look at me. When we were on the trip, I went to Ralph Lauren. First time ever going in there. It was the greatest thing, everything I ever dreamed of. And the lady that was checking me out, we were sitting there talking, and the lady was telling me about her mother passing away, and they were going up to where they used to live and kind of, just going to do some stuff up there. And I said, our pastor tells us, you don't think you'll have hard times. When you get older, you will. And she said, I could tell that you were a Christian. And I said, thank you. That really means a whole lot to me. Because when you get told that that's who you are, because being a Christian, that's another thing. It's all in your identity. Jesus is the identity. Not sports, not band, not whatever you do. Being a Christian, being a child of God, that is your identity. And I was like, no one's ever just out of me talking, because I was literally just talking about my trip. I was like, well, we started out in Philadelphia, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, nobody's ever, and I'm not saying that people have thought it, or haven't thought it, but nobody's ever really said that to me. And I was just like, wow. Thank you. I needed to hear that, because, like I was saying, I'm not where I should be. I struggle a lot with just the world stuff, who I am. And so I was like, I needed to hear that. And like you were saying, it could be the simplest of words of like, Jesus loves you, or hey, we're doing this thing at our church, would you like to come? And I think it'll be really good for you. I think you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll get something out of it. It can be something as simple as that. And I think it's all that I can do. So.
Yeah. You're talking about, I think in our other video, how like you never know who's listening to you. And like we were talking about like sin and stuff, and just like you maybe say something like, go to your youth pastor and be like, hey, I struggle with this, I sin with this. And then the person next to you is like, I was not going to say that, but you saying that made me have the courage to say that to them and get like healed from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I feel like and even in here, like, there's literally us and like maybe 4 other people, and then the people that work here. But even in a church, like if it's a small group of like 20 people, you're kind of sitting there and maybe somebody asks like a question that just hits you right in the head, and you're like, oh, I don't want to answer this, I don't want to answer this, and the whole room is silent, and somebody raises their hand and they're like, and they kind of say their thing, and then everybody else is kind of whispering, and they're kind of like, oh, I was thinking that too. I think that's a good way to look at it, because when you say that you never know who's listening, my parents always tell us we've got eyes on you, because my parents know some of the people that like live in this city, that know some of the people, and they've always told us we've got eyes on you. And so just saying something like that, as far as getting something off your chest, even if it's in private, or somebody else is sitting there and they hear you, that could take a load off of somebody's mind. I mean, even not a biblical stance of stuff. Like if you like somebody and you want to tell them, but then you're like, oh, I already know that person, you're you're kind of on the fence, you know, you're kind of like, I don't really know that person, should I tell them yet or not, you know, and then maybe somebody else would think, well, maybe they're thinking the same thing, you know, maybe they're like, oh, well, maybe he's on the fence, you know, like we're sitting there kind of thinking, and you waiting to say something like that and get something off your chest, because getting bogged down by stuff like that is one of the worst things that can happen to you, because that's just the enemy throwing lies at you left and right. And I think as far as, you know, somebody saying that, I think that's a good way to look at that. And, you know, in a small group of people, in our small group of church, we have most of them I'm very good friends with. And we go to small group leaders, and they'll ask us a question, and we'll go through the circle, and you've either got the kid that answers, and everybody else is just to get it done with. They're like, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Or you got somebody that's sitting there saying, you know, I was thinking that too. And then they go over on their corner. I think that's a good way to look at that, especially from a standpoint of being around people. You never know who's listening.
You never know who needs to hear it.
Yeah. Because I really, and I was going to say this earlier, everybody knows Mr. Beast. And if you don't know Ryan Trahan, you should subscribe to that guy. Great guy. But there was I think it might have been a podcast, I don't know, but Jimmy was on there, and they were talking about Ryan Trahan. They were like, why do y'all think he's so happy? And they were like, and Mr. Beast was like, Ryan's happy. He's got a good life. He's got a wife. He's got all this kind of stuff. And when the video was over, I was like, no, Ryan's got God, because Ryan believes in God. Jimmy does not. Jimmy is an agnostic. His cameraman Tariq has pulled him towards the Muslim faith, and I think he kind of leaned back on agnostic, and that's part of the reason that Chandler actually left for a long time, because Chandler was a Christian and he just was like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. He's back now, I think. But hearing that, I was like, there's so many people that come up with all these reasons of why other people are happy, or they look at all these kind of different things to compare themselves to and say, oh, I'm not that good, or something that I need to be that way. None of that happens. Like, right now, this could be anything but what we're doing right now. This is like a divine appointment made by God. Like, that we're not just here for a reason. And like I was saying, somebody may just be flipping through YouTube, and this may come up. This may be something somebody needs to hear.
Do you want to say your
Sorry,
little?
Jimmy.
Do you want to say your little YOLO thing?
Yeah. So last night I was like, scrolling through TikTok, and just looking at the comments, and somebody said something about YOLO, and then like something just like said in me, yeah, you only live once, so why would you spend it chasing after a thrill rather than going after small things, like spending time with God and friends and family, and just like only going after things that give you peace in the moment, and then you'll regret it later.
They made a comment about what? I couldn't hear. I heard the rest of it, but I didn't hear what they made a comment about.
Like about YOLO, like how you like only live once. So like you want to chase, like have moments and chase after thrill and stuff. It's like, why would you spend it only chasing after thrill?
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people, because I think like I feel like this too in like my own mind, like YOLO, like you only live once, you do what you want, but then also God matters so much more.
Yeah.
And just truly having a relationship with Him and discovering His love and His peace and just like having a faith that's just built on a firm foundation is just so much more better than that. And then sometimes people like in like relationship point of view, like some people like, oh, like when's the point on waiting? Like honestly, you could just date somebody right now. You don't know you can marry them. I'm like,
Yeah, but what if they're not the godly man that God has for you?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and plus, it's like such a beautiful thing when if God writes your love story.
Yeah, because and a lot of people are like, oh, how will I know that it's them? You know.
Right.
And another thing is, I've always said, and I've always said this in joking and in seriousness, life's short, eat dessert first. You know, a lot of people, mostly guys, there are a lot of girls that do this, they live their life on the edge. They want to live their life on the edge. They want to stand at the cliff and look over and be like, all right, fix the jump. Fix the jump, it's going to be fun. Fix to live my life on the edge. And you know, like y'all were saying, when you break up with somebody, you're like, all right, I got to get to the next person or my life's over. And I think that's the same thing, but you know, social media or fashion, a lot of people will go from, like what I'm wearing right now, shorts and a shirt, and somebody else that's easily influenced will see somebody wearing, I don't know, blue jeans and a black shirt, and they're like, oh, that's cool, I should have done that. And then they just get, you know, they get taken by the next thing. They're ready to have the next thing, which is why I think that my style and your style, and possibly your style, I don't know, that's why I like the old stuff, like that truck that just passed. I love that truck.
Yeah. It's a pretty cut. Yeah.
The old stuff, you know, it's classic stuff. It never gets old. And there are so many people, a lot, especially my brother. He likes cars, you know, all that kind of stuff. But he wants, you know, he likes to get the next thing. He's ready for the next thing. And you know, don't get me wrong. If I had the money in the world, I would. I'd go to any store that I wanted to and be like, give me all the crap you got.
Yeah.
But I feel like as far as stuff like that, when you look at it from a standpoint, and we were talking about this the other day, being born in the wrong generation, a lot of people now will look at, like you say it's a guy, and he's talking to a girl, and he's like, well, I like her, but, you know, I mean, really all we would be able to do is go on a date and, you know, furthermore, which is nowhere near what anybody should be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be married before that happens.
Right.
And like you're saying, it's all lust, no love.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of girls, and I would say 95.9% of girls now will look at a man. A long time ago, masculinity used to be, was he from a good family? Does he have a little bit of money in his pocket? Is he a good person? Is he dressed nice? And is he, you know, all around just who he should be? And now they're like, all right, he's got to go to the gym, have a nice car, have lots of money, and be famous or be popular, and then I'll date him because it'll up my popular status or whatever. And even at that, when people go on dates now, they don't think it through. They go and say, all right, we'll go to Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever, and then go to Bill Noble and play pickleball. And I'm not dissing on that, but at the same time, you're sitting there in a restaurant where you're having to scream at each other. And I know this from a standpoint because going to that place with a big family and you're trying to get a point across to somebody else and you're sitting there screaming and everybody's looking at you, why are you screaming? You can't hear me. And then going to play a sport, you're competing against each other. You're not really getting a chance to sit down and get to know somebody or having a good time. And I feel like when you sit somewhere quiet, or now obviously in public, don't try to go somewhere in secret.
Right.
But when you're sitting somewhere in quiet, even here, like literally there's nobody here. You should be sitting somewhere where you can talk about, like not talk about yourself, blah blah blah, but I mean like go back and forth, learn about other people, and not and not just be ready to move on to the next person. Because you know they've got those TV shows, the balloon pop show, you know, kind of stuff like that. Like if you don't like what they're saying or you don't like how they look, and they pop their balloon, and that's stupid. It's stupid to, and I know as a human, and especially me as well, getting ready to move on to the next thing and have the next thing. But why would you have the next thing when you know in the end it's not going to matter? Because, and yes, when you're married, you love each other. And I recently learned this. When you go to heaven, yeah, you're all one big family. You know each other like you will know each other, like almost as if you've known each other forever. But the person that you're married to, when you go to heaven, you're not married. You're married to each other to go through life together and to make each other benefit and be better as a person. And to go from having the next thing and stuff like that, even if it only lasts 5 seconds, like there are people that would go out and buy a drug for $1 if they had it. And even if it would only last 5 seconds, they'd go and spend all their money. And that wouldn't matter. Because the next day, if you're out partying and you're drunk or whatever, you come home the next day and everybody knows this. They've seen the movies, they've heard people talk about it, they may even seen the person. The next day, they are sick as a dog and they are ill as crap and they're ready to hit somebody if they talk to them out. And you can't do it like that. You can't be ready to move on because it doesn't matter. Because like we were talking about in the beginning, God has a plan for your life. And I feel like everything that I've learned, a lot of things point back to that point. God has a plan for your life. So don't worry about the next thing. Because you're going to go through struggles, but to get to where you want to be, or, even as a musician or we'll say musician because I can talk from a standpoint. I started off, couldn't play a note. Still probably couldn't if I wanted to. But I got braces. And that, for a trumpet player, that's your worst nightmare. You can't play a single thing properly at the beginning. And you're like, well, how am I supposed to play this when I've got something wrong with me? Or how are you supposed to get where you need to be? Because a lot of people, our pastor told us this, when you go to the throne room of God, you're there, and the Bible says before him we are like filthy rags. And a lot of people try to pick up the pieces. A lot of people try to pick up their broken pieces. They try to get all their stuff together. And yet, you still got the skeletons in the closet. If you rattle it hard enough, something's going to happen. And I feel like it doesn't matter. Like if I showed up, and this is going to be on YouTube, but whether I showed up in what I'm wearing or I showed up in a pair of pants that had 9 billion holes in it and half of a shirt and a baseball cap, it wouldn't matter because you're not worried about the next thing. You got what you got. You got it made. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to go on and on, as far as kids and the world we live in, and there are a lot of kids that I really feel bad for in their life. It's really, really hard and tough. But as far as the people that have their life, and it's going okay for them, we've got it made as kids. Like a lot of kids, if they had the chance to sit here and do what they wanted in a place where there was nobody sitting there, they'd either kiss each other or they'd smoke and do drugs. And there are kids that wouldn't be able to go anywhere because their parents are either strict or they don't care. Mm-hmm. As kids, son, take out the garbage, do this, do that. You're like, leave me alone. I want to do what I want to. But in the end, we got it made as kids. And I feel like we worry about the next thing too much. Because like we've been saying, it's not going to matter. It's not. And I know I've gone on for like 20 minutes about that, but it's not going to matter.
definitely agree with that. What time is it? 5:30?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. If you want to continue this, we can go out on the side that works too. I agree with what you're saying. Not a lot of people just, especially in the relationship with God, a lot of people like to okay, let's go ahead and get to where we're supposed to be. And like a lot of times, even myself included, literally, I was just like rushing. I was like, okay, God, let's get to my purpose. Come on now, let's do this. And then God's like, no, you need to slow down and trust in me and know that I will take care of you and I will lead you in the right direction. And you need to stop rushing and just really see the beauty of waiting.
All right.
And oh goodness, I had something in my mind because I lost it.
While waiting may feel like torture, it's prosperous in the end.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Yeah.
Like
That brick wall that you hit matters. It
Yeah.
means something. You're not going through. And a lot of people are like, I'm in this storm. It's all my fault. God hates me, and life's not good. And why do you let these bad things happen to me? They happen for a reason. Like the people that get in. For example, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Forrest Gump. I'm sure you have. Lieutenant Dan, the guy that was the lieutenant in the movie, now because of what they had to go through to be able to film the Vietnam War part of the movie, he said that it's changed my perspective on the military for the rest of my life. And I feel like that's the same thing as far as a Christian standpoint of when you go through something hard, like you were saying, it's prosperous in the end. Like it matters, it means something. So,
What was it? It was like number 2 that you said earlier. What did you say?
kind of just putting on the thing of where, because you got at number, I think I said number 1. I think number 2 was just being in it. Like being
Yeah.
there. You got to be there. Not rushing through stuff.
Okay, so I got something so our youth pastor told us to write a devotion,
Okay.
and he was like, I'm gonna pick one of y'all out to say it, and and of course, lovely. I wrote one, but he said, if you want to say it, just come up to me and ask me what to do. I just did my favorite Bible verse, Proverbs 4:23. Above all, else guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And that sometimes that we can guard our hearts with relationships and distractions, and until we can realize that God is the only one who can be the true guard of our hearts, then we're going to be broken because God is the only one true healer. So you thinking that a relationship can heal you, spoiler alert, it can, but also I've been there too. Like I already said this a couple minutes ago, like I used to think, oh, I'm in a relationship, I'll be fine. So that didn't work out. I was like, and a lot of times I get in like relationships and I'm like, oh, I can fix them. But little did I know, Buddy Boy was cussing out a storm and not reading his word like he said he does. And but also that goes both ways for guys too. Like, oh, she's pretty, but I can fix her. But little does he know she's like practicing what she preaches. And but God is the only true healer. So why are you trying to fix him or her when he's the only one true healer? But also I had to learn this kind of the hard way too. Like also you can't force someone to change unless they want to change for themselves. And just I feel like we shouldn't like get in. And obviously, I can't talk because I used to like I got in a relationship before. Like I discovered God's love, but before I would say before like anybody that's like younger than us or anything like that, or even like older, and you still haven't got to a relationship yet. I feel like you should discover God's love before you even try to find love in relationships.
Because you'll never find what you're looking for.
Exactly, never find what you're looking for. And I feel like when I was in relationships, I feel like I looked for love but all in the wrong places.
Right.
And overall, I mean, like you said, there's a reason why that we go through stuff, and it like made me stronger in my faith and things like that. But then it's just you're gonna save so much time just focusing on God's love overall,
Right.
just focusing on Him and discovering His love, things like that.
In middle school, I dated a girl, and after we broke up, your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend, when you break up, it's like somebody took a glass bottle and beat you over the top of the head with it.
Yeah.
And for years, you've got glass stuck in your head. And I still liked her after we broke up, and I told somebody about it, and she was like, well, for me to get back with him, he's going to have to go to the gym and change what he wears. And I'm like, please, that's not going to happen. And I think, and I don't have a girlfriend, but as far as people that look for a girlfriend, even if they're looking for somebody and they don't have any bad intentions to hurt a fly, and they really do just want to be there to be the one, to be the shoulder to cry on, to be the one to help pick up the glass pieces and pick up and help just kind of comfort that person and be there for them, and in a figurative sense to kind of be on your hands and foot for them, to be there when you need them or when they need you. But I feel like for you to find that person, and even if you like somebody but it's not the person that God has for you yet, but you still go with them, and it's an okay, like it's a good thing, for you to find a person and for you to try to get there, you've got to work on yourself first. Because like you were saying, the person that you dated, he was turning around cussing up like a sailor. And I can't point fingers because I still do at points. But before my parents had got onto me, I was a sailor.
Right.
But for that person to put on that mask and say, I'm this person, and then turn right back around and do it, it's like, and it's a physical thing, but like you're really lying to that person, because if you're not around, say, the boy or the girl that you're dating, if you're not around them all the time, and you're not with them during their personal time, you don't really know who they are. You kind of just know them from, oh, he's cute or she's cute or whatever. But, and yes, and this is going to sound bad, looks do matter, okay? Looks matter. I mean, you don't want to date somebody that looks like Darla from Finding Nemo. But their personality, who they are, is one of the things that, and top number one is, do they go to church? Do they have a relationship with God? But they've got to, they've got to have a good personality, and obviously they got to look somewhat good. But money, cars, popularity, that doesn't mean a hill of beans anymore to me. Because when I was growing up in middle school and first started high school, I was like, oh, I've got to find the popular girl. I've got to find the popular girl. That doesn't matter, and you can't live a secret. I mean, everybody lives their secret life. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody can still turn around and do what they want, or still struggle with things and not tell anybody. But if it's like your closest friend, your right-hand man, like Alexander and George Washington, or whoever you're dating, if you know that person from a first base standpoint, and you still got second, third, and home to go, and you get to first base and they go and turn around after the first hit's over, and they turn around, literally do everything that you talked about, but the opposite. You literally just lied to that person. There's no point in somebody being together when it's literally just going to be a fake love lie.
So they'll eventually get tired of putting on that mask.
Right.
And it's kind of disrespectful to you also.
It's like you're not being honest with them, and it like hurts whenever they find out.
Right. And I don't mean to get too deep, but our pastor told us one time, he was telling, pastors always tell the stories of when they were starting out as pastors, kind of the stuff that happened to them and stuff. And he was telling us a story about a girl that had some physical relationship problems. And he said, if you have a relationship where all you do, you don't even talk to each other, you don't even touch each other, you just have sex. He said, when you get married to somebody like because of that, you're going to have to keep it that way. You're going to have to be that person. And because that's the only, if that's the only way you could get them, you're going to have to stay that way. And eventually you're going to get tired of, like you were saying, putting on that mask. You're going to eventually have to say, whoa, I'm tired of this, I'm done. And I think even as a friend or something, you've got to be that. Because if you just sit there and lie through your teeth, there's no sense in it. Because when we went on our cruise, and this is the funniest thing about that to me, because can't go to the casino, I'm not old enough, can't go to a bar, I'm not old enough, all these kind of things. But when I'm with the kids club or whatever, they don't know me. They don't know who I am. All I know is that I look like an old man, I've got a southern accent. So if I wanted to, I could sit there and lie through my teeth and tell them that I was this rich guy from Beverly Hills or something like that, And because you're never going to see him again, it's fun to do that. But when it's your best friend or it's somebody that you're close to, and you lie through your teeth, and then even if they don't know it, it's bad. But if they do know it and they don't say anything because they're afraid of losing that person because of how they got there, that's you can't lie to somebody when that's going on. I hope I haven't gone on too much. I feel like I'm taking up a lot.
No, you're totally fine. And it's fine to go deep into this podcast because literally we talked about like being SA'd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Like it's not a problem. Like depression and suicide and stuff like that.
And another thing with that, you've got friends, and it's not really like a lie, but you're kind of keeping a secret because you don't want to scare them, or they're afraid that if you say something to another close friend or their parent, that it's going to come down real hard on them. And I feel like everybody's got the friend where they struggle with depression, anxiety, and suicide, and they don't want to tell anybody, so they kind of put on, my life's great, I'm doing great, but you can still tell they're lying to you. Not really lying, they're kind of holding something back from you so they don't hurt you, or something bad doesn't happen. But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Really deep topic, but it's honestly good to talk about because it's going on so much in today's world, and it's really sad that it is. But then it's just better to talk about it than just keeping it to yourself.
Because the more you hold it in, the worse it'll get.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, and I've always laughed at this, they've got all these medicines that people give you, and even if it's like for a headache or something, they're like, side effects are suicidal thoughts, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, can we rethink those side effects? Can we take out whatever that is? Because, you know, you're like, it's for a headache. And you got all these side effects of like, tell your doctor when you're planning to go break, suicidal thoughts, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I just need medicine for my head, man.
Right.
But all these medicines that they're talking about that make you have suicidal thoughts, I just don't think that doctors should be prescribing people that. Because in the end, if it gets, like you were saying, if they hold it in their head for so long and they don't tell anybody about it because they're afraid of what's going to happen. Like, I mean, like if you stole something or whatever and you're afraid to go to the police or whatever, it's going to come out eventually. And you're either gonna end up trying to hurt yourself when somebody's gonna be there and try to stop you, or nobody's gonna be there and you're gonna end your life and there's so much more for you. So I agree with that 100%. Even if it's just like a first base friend that you just met yesterday, sit down and talk to somebody. Even if it's a hotline and you don't even know who you're talking to. Even if they just say their name and you sit there for 4 hours and talk about it, you're getting it out because the more you hold it in, the worse it gets. Like you're saying, I agree with that. This plant is killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also,
Don't get me started on that.
and I have now, 7 books of these. Counting this one, 7.
Yeah.
And even though they're just Bible references is the word, and I used to be like reading the word is like, it's not stupid, but it's like, it's gonna be boring. Like it's just gonna be like, where's the point of even reading it? Like honestly, then now I look back and I'm like, you stupid idiot.
Yeah,
like,
because in the start, you think of praying and you think of the Bible as a chore.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, oh, let's get it over with. All right, God, stick your sword in my heart. Come on, let's go. I agree with that because, and going back on the quote-unquote honeymoon phase, that's a great way to think about that because a lot of people look at the Bible and reading their Bible. You know, a lot of people sit there, look what I'm doing, blah, 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 and people romanticize it. People take these beautiful pictures and they're posting about how they're sitting on the beach praying or whatever, and people romanticize it, but then you get down to it and you try to do it, and it's like somebody taking the sharpest pencil or something and just sticking it into you. And sometimes, and our pastor tells us this all the time, he's like, there are Sundays where you will walk out of this church leaping for joy, thank you, Jesus, and there are days that you will be limping out crying. And, you know, I feel like it's the same thing with jobs. You know, everybody romanticizes this one thing, or go into this place and live in there. You get there. Have you ever seen those Instagram things where it's Instagram versus reality? You got these beautiful pictures, and the next one it's their hair blowing in the wind, they're holding on for dear life, and they're like, right, take the boat, take the boat. I feel like that is where I come from on the whole thinking about it as a chore thing, because I don't read as much as I should, and as far as me writing stuff, you know, I just write willy-nilly. When I take notes at church, I take good notes. But when I write stuff, like I sit down to write a story, I mean, it's just throwing it out of my head. personal experience. And I think that I've actually never heard of Bible journaling before until we had talked about it. I had heard of soap before. I've heard of that. We talked about it during the weekend. But I'd never heard of Bible journaling. And I was like, when it comes to that question for the thing tomorrow, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, when it comes to that question for the thing tomorrow, I'm going to be the guy that's like, never heard of it, move on. Because I don't know. I like to write, and I feel like that should be one of the things that I write about. So.
It's really good. But also, like, I'm not trying to call anybody an idiot or stupid when they like get bored like with the Bible, or you don't think it's like boring and no point reading it. But in reality, you can learn stuff from this. There's a reason why the apostles literally wrote it. There's a reason why for everything, and honestly, like, there's suicidal stuff in here. There's a man thinking about killing himself, and God's over here like, bro, you literally just need some food and to go to sleep. You're gonna be good. And then, and then there's a guy about being like swallowed by a whale. Like, it's cool, and also just to look at scripture and the different points of view, like, and how cool it is, just how like the Bible just like, how do you say, like overlaps itself a little bit. Like, there's always like everything repeated in here.
Everything points back to one thing.
Exactly.
And I think it's so interesting, and even if it's like the kids' Bible, I think that the illustrations that people put in there of where it comes from in their mind, like for instance, Jonah and the whale, a lot of people think of it as, all right, they throw him overboard, whale said, but then people draw it as he's flying over the boat and this whale comes up with its mouth open. And I think it's just so interesting because and even in the movies, you know, they're not as close as biblical stuff. But in our heads, we're like, a long time ago, couldn't happen again. No. I mean, and this is a personal message to everybody right here. You think the Bible's boring? You like English? Bible's for you. Cool stuff in there. You like history? Bible's for you. Science? Bible's for you. Math? I don't know. Count up how long people lived. Methuselah lived up to 600 years, or 6,000 years old, I think. I don't know. I mean, the man was alive for a long time. The Bible's for you. The Bible's for everybody. The Bible's cool. It's not boring.
Yeah, right.
I think it's hard to read, and I think that it's sometimes it can be hard to comprehend or hard to kind of look at it because it's stuff you don't know and you're just kind of like, but I mean, read it. It's good for you.
Right, no, it is. Yeah. And it's just how, okay, I want to say this. Ignore this little heart on there. I legit drew it when I was 9. I was like, oh, let's do a little heart on my Bible. It's cute. Yeah, but also I just got bored. I literally drew on it.
Adding up how much money I had left. Making Mouse, I don't know if you can see it. Old, new. My sister did that. That's not me. People have everything. I still got sticker stuff all over my Bible from when I was.
Alright.
Bibles are personal things.
Exactly. And
Like, I've seen people like get covers for their Bible.
yeah.
Like my great grandmother had one with her initials on it.
Yeah.
My mom, that's one of those.
And then I saw this video the other day about like people just showing off their Bibles, and like one of them was so cool. It had like little fabric things around it, and then it was like it had like a bunch of little stickers on it and like little charms. It was so
It's
cute.
cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because I mean, the Bible isn't just some leather book that
Yeah.
people
Right.
read. And yeah, yes, physically it is a leather book, and it's a best-selling book, one of the best-selling books. I think it is number 1.
Right.
But I mean, even if you sometimes, and I don't know if this is bad to say or not, but even if you get bored of reading it, make it yours, customize it,
Right.
make it look how you want it to look,
I agree.
because that's your Bible. It's personal.
Yeah.
Things like that are personal.
like make it feel like it's yours. Like don't have it where it feels like you could just give it to somebody else and like they can just read it.
Right.
Like highlight things,
Make it
draw in
known.
it,
Yeah.
like do whatever you want in it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I think this is literally one of the greatest things that I think anybody could ever do. Pastors are always saying, if you don't have a Bible and you don't have the money to get one, come talk to us. We have Bibles for you. And that's awesome. Like you were saying, giving somebody a Bible, just giving somebody something like that, and even if it's your old one, you're like, here you go. It's gonna have all this stuff in it. They're gonna look at it and be like, what is this? You know, make it yours.
Yeah.
It's-
Just want to push like, I got you again.
There's been some really nice cars passing by today, except for Cybertrucks. Those are awful.
Yeah, they look like Roblox trucks. I'm sorry, but I have to.
They
look
look
like
like
what?
little kids.
Roblox trucks.
They do.
They look like little kids do that.
They do. They really do.
They're looking like the crappy Lego cars that you pay like hundreds of dollars at Walmart to build. It takes you forever.
Right.
That's what it looks like.
And no offense to anybody who has one. It's just this is our own personal
Yeah.
stuff. We're not trying to crap on you for it. Just
Like they're really spacious and stuff, and I think like the
Spacious, more like it looks like a spaceship.
Oh,
whoa now.
Have you ever seen the inside of them before?
I think so.
They look like a spaceship. I'm serious.
Like they have a big tablet in the front. It's like, why? Like, are you gonna watch movies on it? Like, what are you doing?
Serious, like all you need is air and Bluetooth. That's all you need.
It feels like a TV. Like you have a TV.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Sit there with movies.
But at the same time, big distraction.
I'm not
Yeah.
even trying to drive. Like, what's the point? It's okay.
And that's me, even on a bike, because the bike that we have in our house has the phone holder. So I'm sitting there trying to skip the ad to get to the next song, and I'm like, nearly dying over it. But yeah.
I was looking through here where I was walking. And, are you okay?
Yeah, I had to.
Okay, sorry. I was just like looking like, you good? It says if your boss is under it, you don't quit. Parts can overcome you the greatest mistakes. And then also that reminds me of Proverbs. Oh goodness. There you go. It was basically talking about like don't be. I don't want to say like don't be hostile with your words, but like what was it? Quiet, soft words or something like that deflects the heart like anger. You know what I'm talking about?
Be slow to anger, quick to listen.
Yeah, that one.
Because, I mean, my mom tells me this all the time, because like I was saying, and I still am, and I'm not crying over it at all. I'm very disrespectful to my parents. And the Bible says that the tongue has the power of life and death. You can either build somebody up with your words, or you can hit them down so far that they're
right
in
here.
the ground.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And that brings me to a question for both of you guys. Like if there was one that you learned early on and somebody was like, maybe you don't know the exact verse or the exact chapter, but if somebody was like, no Bible, and somebody said, what's a verse or a parable or something that you have memorized?
I don't know the verse of it, but it's like guard your heart. Because like I've always heard that. Because I'm such a caring person that I let people in without thinking about
That's
it.
real. I agree.
And like without thinking what their intentions are.
Reminds me of somebody we know. I agree with that, because I was thinking about when I was riding the bike earlier, there was a squirrel that was coming over, and I slowed down because, like, I love animals except for the two dogs that I have, they're idiots. And I'm like, I'm not gonna hurt this animal. And then on the way back, I was like, should this animal have died, what would I do? And I was like, well, I'd probably take it back to my house and bury it in my backyard.
Yeah.
Because in looking at that from like a human perspective of being friends with somebody, if you've got a really, really good heart and you're tender-hearted person, you're letting people in without even knowing what's going to happen because, you want to make them feel better or you just want to be nice. They're trying to be nice to somebody and then all of a sudden they're like, I hate you. And you just get cut down. You don't know their intentions. Guard your heart, guard your eyes, your mind, because the Bible says, and this is not word for word exactly, this is just how I would say it. If you can't control what you're seeing or what you're hearing or what goes on in your head, gouge your eyes out. Not physically.
No, yeah.
But guard your heart. I agree with that.
I agree actually. I it's the same thing. We always grew up with it. And I don't mean to just be like sound like, oh look at me, but my dad always told me I had a heart of gold ever since I was little. So he would just recommend me that structure a lot. Just to guard it and to let God be God.
You guys remember The Outsiders, the book? That reminds me of the poem that's in the book. Have you ever seen it? Ever read the book?
I feel like we
Outsiders?
read it at one point in
seventh
time.
grade.
Yeah, seventh grade.
Hard and sweet home, her lily's a flower, but only so out. Something else. Like, I don't know. I remember a little bit of it, but I think as far as mine, and before I say this, let me preface this. Recently we had a guy named Isaiah who is, and I think he moved on to another church, but he was one of our helpers with the youth pastor. He was one of the people that run staff. And they told us to come up and they were going to give him a new Bible. And they told all of us to come up and highlight our favorite verse and sign our name beside it. And I didn't really mean any harm, but I thought about it afterwards and I noticed my friend beside me and I was like, hey, let's just go to Jesus Well. And he was like, all right, I got you. And so we flipped to that one, highlighted it and signed our name beside it and went away. But I grew up with one parable that I can still remember. Y'all ever go see King of Kings, the animated movie that just came out? It was about the Easter story. And they had the scene of Jesus in the wilderness for 40 days. And that's one that I grew up with. And it's the one where he's like, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. And it's just
Stop.
the whole thing that goes through. But I think that it's really okay. I just think that it's good to have something like that memorized. And I got a kick out of the one that y'all did recently. Remember, like the most common verse, Jeremiah 29:11, and then everybody's like John 3:16. But I think that it's always good to have something like that, even if it's not a common one, even if it's like the parable. I think that it's always good to have something like that. And I think that the one, have a heart of gold is always good. And that's probably one of the best ones I've heard. And I agree with the other one too, guard your heart. Amen.
Anything? Okay. Anything at all? Is there anything on your mind, Kenny, you want to say?
I've got one.
Okay.
This is a message to America, okay? So a lot of people are anti everything. Like we've got not agnostic. I'm sorry. But and everybody, and I thought about this the other day. Money, right? I don't actually care. But on the back of it, and I think on the front of it, it says the words, "In God we trust." And it's in the national anthems and all that stuff. In God we trust. You're spending all that money, take a look at the dollar, please.
Excuse me. So we're actually closed now. Just so that you're aware, we're going to do like walk-in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which side did y'all come in?
That
This side? Okay, so I'm going to walk like this door and one of these doors, just so that new people don't come in.
Okay, thank you so much. But yeah, take a look at the dollar you're spending, man. I mean, everybody, not everybody, but people that don't believe in God, and people that say that, and even if they do believe in God, but they're like, God, God hates me or whatever. How can you say that when He's giving you life? You're waking up every morning. And this is another thing for me. Money is a filthy, disgusting word, okay? People use money for terrible things. People use money for good things. But the things that, as far as saying that, and that you know all the country songs now, because of Jelly Roll, or they're talking about God, but in the same sentence they're saying cussing up the storm, and I'm like, that shouldn't even be in the same, not even in the same sentence as that, not even in the same song, not even in a sentence at all. But, and there are a lot of things that people say, and I'm bad about saying, like, swear to God, all those kind of things, and I feel like, and now that I think about it, like right now actually, it shouldn't even be in the same sentence. No, saying swear to high heaven, or say, Almighty or something like that. That's not that bad, and I think that's okay. But saying, stuff like that, saying something that's in the same sentence as the word God, even if you're like saying, oh my God, like that's just like if you're saying like, oh my God, like you're saying like you love God.
Yeah.
But if you're saying like, I hate you, oh my God, like you're just being mean, and it's in the same sentence as that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good. I think a lot of this day and age, a lot of people are like on God, they agree with something. Like, no, let's not do that, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just kind of disrespectful.
Putting things on God's name, or like using God's name in vain is like really disrespectful. And I'm not saying that like I haven't done it like that.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I don't need to, but I do. Yeah. It just happens. And I'm not saying that I'm like, not human. Like I sin too. Like I'm not Christ.
Right.
I'm Christian, but I'm not Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah, and even saying it like in joking, even if it's I swear to somebody else or put something on God, and if, say for me, if I was to say I swear on Frank Sinatra, like if the man heard that, he'd kill somebody. Just saying you put something on somebody, because like if you're saying I bet my life on it, you lose that bet, or you're lying when you say I put it on God. Number one, even if you are being serious and you're being truthful when you say it, it's still disrespectful. But if you're lying when you say that, it's even worse.
Yeah. I agree. That's very rough thing. And we're not trying to like jump at you when we say it. It's just like being truthful and honest. And whatever we say.
Do better.
Right. And with whatever we say, just like even like for the past, I don't know, 30 minutes or like an hour, I know the camera's gotten off like 6-7 times, but it's okay. But whatever we say, we're not trying to jump at you like, oh, you did this, you did that. Like we're coming from humble hearts that we've done that too, but we're just trying to help you in your relationship with God. Like I said in the other video, we're not no better than you at anything, Kenny. No better at all.
Me especially. And that brings me to a thing, and I hope my parents see this. I'm showing my parents this. This is for you guys. A lot of people look, and when their parents are telling them stuff like, back in my day, all these kind of things, saying, we didn't, like, you don't need to do that, blah, blah, blah. Either they're doing it and telling you not to because they don't think it's right for you, or they're telling you not to do it because they're trying to protect you because they've done it in the past and they don't want you to have a life like they did. And I mean, me especially, I've always thought, you know, because my dad always tells us, he's like, he's like, well, when I was growing up, people had jobs when they were younger, and you know, people were just better. And I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm like, Dad, that was back in the '70s, you know. But at the same time, it still applies for today. A lot of things like that. Me and my grandfather were talking about it yesterday, where we talked about when we went to New York, there are just not a lot of people there, what. And he was like, well, you know, it's the same thing when I was down there. He worked at Altec, and he would go on business trips down there to trade and have auctions. And he was like, terrible, especially Manhattan, Chicago. And I was like, and a lot of people think, you know, oh, it's Newark, and that's what's happening. I mean, it happened back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you didn't give them the money on time, or you didn't give them the bootleg whiskey, they're either going to shoot you or they're going to break the windows. I mean, a lot of people that are telling you not to do stuff and telling you to be a better person, they're either telling you to do it because they want you to be a good person, or they're telling you to do it because they did it in the past and they're saying, I'm trying to save you some time.
Yeah, that's really good. I think a lot of that, especially when we're younger, we're like, oh, but it's so cool, you know, your parents are trying to protect you. We don't realize it until, like, at this age, or maybe even older, like, especially, like, sometimes we don't realize how much our parents do for us.
Right.
Like, they literally have a roof on our head. And then I saw this video one time, they're like, your parents are supposed to have a roof over your head, and they're supposed to feed you. I mean, yeah, that may be true, but then also be thankful for it.
They don't have to do anything for you.
Exactly.
They're your parents. They take care of you, but at the same time, if they wanted to, my parents would come in our room and take my bed and say, you're sleeping on the floor. And as far as go back, I'll think about it as I'll talk.
I don't want to stay here for like too much longer because I want to like then have to.
Yeah, I don't want to understand. So,
I think that's a good point of saying that you should be thankful for your parents, because when you grow up, and my mom has told me, I've always said I don't want kids, but if I have a kid, I want one or two. Two is my limit. I'm saying this, future wife, if you see this, I'm serious. No joke. But my mom has always told me, I hope that you have a kid just like me. And I'm like, I hope you don't mean that, because then it's going to be real, real bad. Because I feel like, and it's the same thing with everybody, you know, the kid reflects off of the parents. And my niece, I think she's almost 3, maybe 4, I don't really know, but she is just like her mom, just like her mom. It's chip off the old block. And I think that especially when you look like your parent or you act like your parent, you should be thankful, because us as a family, we have gone on a lot of trips over the years, and a lot of times, you know, I'm like, oh, it's too hot, I'm tired, we need to go back. I'm taking a lot of those moments for granted, you know, and it's really anything, like the food that your parents make you, like, I don't want this, I need cereal. I feel like a lot of times we take the things that our parents give us for granted, and as we get older, we look back and we're like, wow, that was really stupid. That was real dumb to say it.
especially, I know we're teenagers. A lot of teenagers are like, or even little kids, they're like, I hate being like to their parents. And like, a lot of people think that the parents don't have feelings, because the majority of the time when their parents are trying to discipline them and teach them like the right values. But whenever you they truly love you from the bottom of their heart, and they want to protect you and give you housing and give you food and just teach you just like the right morals and right values. And you saying that just breaks their heart, and they might not even say anything to you.
Yeah.
But I would say don't say that. And if you already have, and if you already apologized, that's totally fine. But if you haven't, please go back and apologize. I've never said it myself, but just hearing people say, I hate you in movies or with my friends, I'm like, you're going to regret that.
There was a period of time, I think it was this year, maybe last year, where there wasn't really anything going on with me. Like, I wasn't mad, I wasn't sad or anything like that. There were, for like almost a month, maybe 2 months, there were days after school where I walked through the door, waved, didn't say a word, I just waved and went to my room and was in there until it was time for dinner. And I would either be sitting there singing or just cleaning my room or something. Like, there wasn't anything wrong with me. But one day my mom told me that it really had messed with them because they thought something was wrong with me. And I was like, there wasn't anything wrong with me. I just want to go to my room and have time to myself. And I grew up in a big house with a lot of people. And you know, you've always got siblings that if you're saying something to somebody else, they jump in and think they know everything. And a lot of times, I've never really said it to my parents, but I've said it to my sibling, like, hey, you're ridiculous. Or I've always said, like, I hate this house. Not physically, like, not the physical house, but I'm saying, like, the stuff that goes on. I hate it. It's ridiculous. It is as siblings and as a family with that many people, you're going to fight. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the sun's shining and you got money in your pocket. You're going to argue.
It's a part of life.
Yeah.
Thinking about like family and parents and everything like that, I think a lot about like friendships, especially like Reagan's calling you. Reagan's calling you.
What's Reagan? Oh, that's my grandfather calling me.
Okay, cool.
Honestly.
Oh, Papa was Reagan. My bad. That was an R. Yeah. Well, answer your Papa. Okay, it's okay.
I can't see you.
Hold on, folks. Okay. We had to call somebody. Well, had to answer a text. Where were we?
It was something I said about friendships, but I'm just skipping on to what I was saying. I kind of felt really bad. I'm not, okay, so during like, while Kenny was talking, there was a guy who was picking up trash or plumbing or something. And like, I think, oh, I feel bad not doing that. Okay, like the Holy Spirit said, like, give him something to drink or something like that. And he's gone now, but I didn't do it. I feel really bad for not doing that. Ooh, ouchie. Okay.
I agree with that, but have you ever seen those videos of people, and maybe you've seen them in person, homeless people, and they're sitting there holding a little sign or whatever, and somebody will come up in a souped-up car and trade spots with them, and then the person that was sitting there for that ship or whatever drives off. I've seen that so many times, and but at the same time, even if they're homeless, you don't really either. Nowadays, you're like, all right, if I give them money, they're going to give me drugs. And I mean, you don't really know that, but now you can't be too sure. And I'm not dissing any of that. Like I'm saying, man, that guy working hard and picking up garbage, doing plumbing, yes, I agree with that. And I've seen videos of people that will go to Walmart after they've seen a homeless person, pick out a bunch of stuff for them, stop right on the street corner, give it to them, and say, here you go. And then just, leave or whatever. And I think that, you know the song, it's a country song, I'm not a country fan at all, but there was a song, and the entire time he's talking about how much his daughter was seen, and how much, like, I think one of the lyrics was, Dad, here's that man on the street corner standing there with a sign in his hand. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, how's this? I thought, she's probably asked me that before. But I mean, but seeing people that will sit there and fake homelessness to get money to go do something else, I think that's just awful. But yes, I think 100% for somebody that's doing something like that out there in the hot sun and probably get paid less than minimum wage for it, I think absolutely you should be doing something.
I'm about to say what friendship is that really, especially now, because I have in my life, I've like not really lost a friend. They're not dead guys, but we just kind of stopped talking. And then also my friendship has ended of like a friendship of 9 years, just because we grew apart as I got closer to God. She just kind of drifted away. Like I would ask her, I'm not even gonna lie, I would ask her like, hey, you want a Bible journal? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then an hour, and then like I'll be sitting there with my Bible open, and she'll be there, and then she'll go up on her bed, look on her phone, and then she's like, "You wanna go to the pool?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we went to the pool, and then I was just slowly, I was like, "She's my best friend," but then slowly realizing like
Maybe you shouldn't be around her.
exactly, and that just really points out that there's people gonna be in your life for a season. For a chapter of your life, those people are not always going to be there.
Yeah.
And like, and even somebody passed away, I think that you should, even like if something bad happened, like an end of a friendship or relationship, I think that you should be grateful that you've like even got to know that person, whether they did something like, if they did something extremely bad to you, then that's different.
Yeah.
But if you just like a breakup or your friendship just ended, I think that you should look back at that like friendship or relationship and just try to learn, like even though you're gonna be sad, yes, but then also like try to shoot. It's my mother. Sorry guys.
And I think that's great.
I'll step away. Sorry guys.
What do you think on that? I think that people that when something bad happens, I feel like there are people that think there's a hard time in my life. I think there's always going to be somebody there for you. And even if it's like you were saying only for a season, I think there's always going to be somebody. Because like we were talking about earlier, you never know who's listening.
Yeah.
Like if I'm standing in the middle of a room and I'm singing a song, and like I'm singing for a show or karaoke or whatever, there could be somebody in the crowd that's looking for talent, snatch me up, and give me a job. Like you never know who's listening, but that can only be for a season. There's always, I think, because you know there are people that struggle with loneliness, there are people that struggle with depression and feeling like nobody cares about them or whatever. No, whatever, it's not whatever. But there's always going to be somebody there. You gotta quit sitting in your bed crying, and you gotta get up and look. You gotta find someone, because Phil, I'm not gonna do you no good. Bottle, nope. Drugs, you gotta get up and look for it. You gotta find it.
You're good.
She's back, done with these.
So we're getting ready to head out.
Yes.
Just advice or that.
Thank you so much for letting us stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, no problem. Are y'all done with your stuff here?
Yes.
All right. I'm just gonna grab it if you're done with all of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
They closed. We had to move outside.
Yeah.
It's actually much nicer outside, so
Yeah.
it's a little better.
It was way better than it was earlier, so I'm glad we were able to wait that long.
Like I was saying, just to be thankful and just like learn life lessons from those people and things like that.
Because I feel like there's always going to be somebody in your life. and then, like you were saying, even if it's only for a season, I feel like in every step of your life, there's always going to be somebody. You just got to get up and look for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You good? If there's anybody in y'all's lives, whether it ended good or bad, that you'll have learned good life lessons from?
Yeah, actually, like a lot of my friends that I had in like 7th grade, that was a rough time for me. A very rough time, and I learned a lot of lessons from them. Yeah.
Might I ask who it was?
Oh,
Should I say names?
no, not on this podcast.
Never mind.
I'll tell you after that.
Yeah, it's okay, guys.
Speaking of 7th grade, I think that it's funny because I knew you in elementary school, but at that time when we went to middle school, I didn't realize that you went to the same middle school that I did, and it was during summer school. I didn't even say hi, but I was sitting there and I recognized your face, and I was like, I know that kid. I think we went to elementary school together, and I was like, and I nudged somebody that knew you apparently, and I was like, who is that? And he said your name, and I was like, yeah, I know that kid. I know. But yeah. I would say I have a friend now that, I mean, he's one of the greatest kids I've ever met. And when we talk, a lot of times, we just sit there and make jokes, but there are times that we kind of get some serious stuff out. And I've learned a lot of life lessons from him, and I've learned a lot of life lessons from a lot of people, but as far as my friends go, I've learned a lot of life lessons from him, because you've got your friends, you've got the close ones, you've got the ones you go to church with, and then you've got the ones that they claim that you're their friend, but you just kind of associate with each other on and off, and just kind of like, hey, how you doing? When when you see them on the hallway, you're talking,
Yeah.
But I would say, as far as people that I've learned life lessons from, as far as friends go, it would definitely be him.
Good. What are those life lessons? I mean, it doesn't have to be like a whole entire rant of just a couple. Just give me one or two.
Back on the thing when we were talking about dating people and trying to find the right person, he was the one that actually told me, for you to find somebody, you need to work on yourself first. And that's one of the biggest ones that I've heard him say. And I think that's, as far as like ones that matter to say out loud, that's probably the one right there.
Yeah, mine were like, just their actions made me realize what type of people they were, and that I shouldn't associate with them anymore.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, so yours were the opposite of mine. Yours were kind of saying, I need to get away from these people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. Nah, I figured it out now. Okay. But yeah, I think that's good because, and like we were talking about earlier, and it's the opposite, even with those kind of actions and stuff like that, how they carry themselves, in the moment you're kind of like, yeah, this is fun, they're fine, they're fine, they're good people. And then one day, you kind of take a step back and you're like, no, not who I thought they were.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like those cicadas are just like white noise and gonna put me to sleep.
Yeah, don't fall asleep in this. This is important.
Yeah. Ooh, here's a good one. I know we're outside now and things like that, but obviously this is God's creation. Like, what are some of the things that, like, y'all see, like, the beauty in it, but not only that, like, the meaning of the beauty in it?
For me, I feel like a lot of people, and I've told some people this, not a lot of people. I'm throwing this out there, okay? A lot of people would say, they would take one look at me and say, this guy's gay. I'm not. But as a dude, it's kind of weird to out loud say, and even if you don't like them, a lot of people would look at you weird if you were a dude and you said you like flowers. I like flowers. And I think that when you look at flowers and you look, and even if it's a painting of a flower, and you look at how much detail there is into, and even when you get into the science of it, of how the flower grows and reproduces and makes their own food, and literally allow themselves to grow. I mean, number one, flowers are beautiful. They're amazing to look at. But when you get down to it, just the detail, because in the Bible we think God said, "Let there be light," but they don't really tell us the detail of He said this and He said that and how it's going to be, you know. Because I've always wondered as a kid, why is a lion called a lion? You know, that kind of stuff. Why did they name it that?
Yeah.
But I think that for me, it's flowers. They're beautiful. There's a reason for them. You know, there's just so much detail that go into it when God could have just said, we're going to have this green little thing that sticks up out of the ground with some red on it. I mean, they're awesome.
I feel like for me, it's like just how perfect, like, okay, so you know how like the numbers are like the atmosphere, and like how like if it was a little bit more, like nobody could live here, and if it was a little bit less, you'd be floating everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people don't know why it's like that, and I feel like the only explanation of it is God. Like He made it perfect.
Right.
And then like with the Big Bang, it was God creating the universe.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's really good, y'all.
And that brings me to an interesting point, and this is controversy right here. A lot of people think that the dinosaurs got destroyed by the Big Bang. My theory is that the dinosaurs got destroyed by the flood.
yeah.
And my dad brought that up one day, and I was like, wow. You know, because in Exodus it says that large creatures roam the earth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes some sense. I mean, because, you know, and that's always, the Big Bang is always, because a lot of people are always talking about that, and I'm like, but what is your reasoning behind where that came from? Like, who even came up with the name for it? I mean, you could have called it, the big meteor comes into the earth and kills everybody. You know? You could have called it anything but that. I think that the Big Bang is an interesting point as far as just kind of, like you were saying, if we were any closer to the sun, we'd burn to death, and if we were any further away, we'd freeze.
Yeah.
Everything happened, and everything's here because of God.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good point. What about you? I'm interested. Spotlight.
It sounds kind of nice to say, but I would say people. Just how, like, the beauty and just good or bad, you can learn lessons from them, and just like, and also like in like, I don't mean to sound cheesy, but like in looks too, like how pretty people's eyes are.
Yeah.
And just how lovely it is, like especially yours and yours too. So.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as a Disney fan, they have all the animatronics, and it's amazing how realistic they've gotten them now. But even with things like that or AI, and you kind of put in what you want, if it's like a human and you zoom in on it and you look at a human's face like right next to an AI picture, you can tell that it's AI, because if you look at somebody's face, like I'm looking at you guys right now, I can tell because of the way your hair is different or something like that. I can tell that you're a real person. But if you look at an AI person, their face is like, it looks like somebody put on enough makeup to be a drag queen or something like that. I agree with that, because faces are just they're so detailed.
Yeah. And they're so like diverse. Nobody looks the same.
Yeah.
Like you can look similar to somebody, but you don't look the exact same to somebody.
Yeah.
we've covered a lot.
We
Yeah.
have covered a lot. I agree.
I think this is going to easily be like a 2-hour long.
Yeah.
That poor person pulling up.
No, I think it's one of the workers.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have covered a lot today, haven't we?
And also like viewing people like about their personalities and stuff
Yeah.
too. Just seeing how different they are and like how sweet they are, or how amazing they are.
Ooh, that's a good one. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Right. It's how it's cool that God created such like beautiful things and beautiful creations, but not only that, but people too.
I just like remembered I didn't respond to my mom.
It's okay.
I agree with that. I think that in personality, because like if I didn't know either of you and I just kind of looked at you, I'd be like, well, they look like the nice people. You know, like you can take a look at somebody and kind of guesstimate what they are, who they are. And for instance, when we went to a castle in Ohio, and I was like, it was so different from what I expected. And when we got there, I was like, all right, maybe the person that works here will get out and be nicely dressed. No, the woman gets out and has on a tie-dye tank top and cigarette in her hand. And I'm like, all right, this is the kind of castle it's gonna be. I know what's gonna happen here. But it was a lot different than what I expected. And I think that that's the same thing with people. Like you look at somebody and you judge a book by their cover, and then you finally meet them and you're like, you almost want to say you're sorry, you know, because you're kind of like, I misjudged that person. And I feel like, and not to talk forever, and I feel like that brings another thing up, dating. A lot of people will hear something about somebody else, or you know, just something like that, and based off of what somebody else said or something along those lines, they won't date somebody because of that, and they don't really know who they are or something like that. If you gave, and this is a personal standpoint, people listen to what I'm saying, if you gave somebody a chance instead of just looking at who they are and saying, I don't like you just because of who you are, even if it's one date, give somebody a chance, because you could be surprised. You could be surprised at who they are, how they treat you. I mean, don't judge a book by its cover, please. And I struggle to do that a lot. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. It's really, oh, lovely.
I think
Wow,
it's
you're
that
so
truck.
cool. You're so cool. Now that's what I judge right there. Loud cars. Because those people come from good old Coleman, where they got buck teeth and backwards hats and long hair.
I think it's on like judging and stuff. A lot of people are, and I know it's kind of controversial too. Like I think a lot of people are like, don't judge, but there's a difference between righteously judging and then judging people in like a rude way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can judge somebody and have good intentions.
Exactly. Or you can just judge their character and be like, okay, now that I've known them for long enough, I don't need to be around them.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or the exact opposite and be like, okay, I need to be around this person a lot more because
Yeah.
they have the same moral and values.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a difference between judging the book by its cover and picking up the book, reading it, and observing,
Yeah.
and taking a standpoint and saying, do I need, like even looking at it from a physical point of picking up a book and reading it, do, like when you pick up the book and you look at the author and you read the book and you're like, okay, you're either like, all right, this book was good, I'm going to read another book by this person, or you're like, this book was not for me. Like, and that's a human standpoint saying, you're friends with somebody or you're in a relationship and you're like, all right, should this relationship go on, or is it for the better that we break up? You know. So I agree that there's a difference between judging and judging. You know.
I'm guessing that's all needs to be said. Thank you for sharing your testimony. I deeply appreciate it.
I am deeply honored to be here. It's been great fun. Probably one of the things that'll go down in my history book as fun stuff and just being able to share stuff. I hope somebody sees this that really needs it. And my last thing, this is my closing thing. And this has nothing to do with Bible. This is just straight out. Money isn't everything, and there's a lot of things that you can do that don't involve money that matter.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I really appreciate y'all just being here and showing up.
Well, I appreciate it a lot because, like I said, a lot of people wouldn't have asked somebody to come out here and do this. I'm very deeply honored to be here.
Of course. Thank you all, especially Addie and both of y'all. Thank you for everything. I know, especially sharing a testimony is kind of hard to say, especially the things that you go through. But yeah, Addie, Audrey. Well, yeah, I think you can say your all's names. You can say your own names, sorry.
I'm Addie.
Audrey.
Judy.
And this is Faith Unfiltered signing off.
Yep.
Bye, love you.